I'd like to call the meeting to order. If we all stand for the pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a roll call, Stacy.
Justin Rock.
Here.
David Glabe.
Here.
Corinne Dudo.
Here.
Nicole Howard.
Here.
Molly King is absent excused. Marianne Meisner.
Here.
And Denise Wheeler is absent excused.
Thank you. Is there any changes to the agenda this evening?
Yeah, there's a few changes to the agenda. Union County Commissioner will not be here tonight, so we will not have that section of the agenda. Also, Molly King is hopefully going to be joining us. She just might be a little bit late. Just wanted to give you a heads up on that. Also, there's 2 letters on the dais for each of you counselors. Those will be presented during public comment, one from David Festfield and one for Marilyn Herbst. And that is it.
Consent agenda. Does anybody see anything that needs to be removed, or do we have a motion?
I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. All right, we are going to move into public comment. During the public comment, this is for non-agenda items. So if you have anything that you would like to speak to the council, now is the time. We do have a 3-minute time limit, so anybody who would like to speak, now will be time to step to the podium.
Do I push something here?
No.
No? Okay. I'm Marilyn Herbst. I live at 1610 First Street in La Grande, and I am a passionate trash picker-upper. You might see me walking around town sometimes with my grabber and my bucket, like this. And I pick up, every time I go out, at least 2 buckets full of trash, and usually 2, 3, 4, something like that. And it's all trash that's on the street itself, or on the sidewalk, or in the gutters, and mainly it's mainly in the gutters, the things that I find really that need to not be in there. And I've noticed on the Portland TV stations, which you've probably all heard this too, they have an Adopt a Block program where they provide a person who commits to going out and cleaning up trash in the streets with a grabber, and this is the one I have, and a bucket, and any bucket will do, but this is from the back of Asian Fusion. They have told me that we can just take their empty buckets for free. And what I'd like to have the city participate in is promoting this and encouraging people to participate. I don't have social media, and so I would need someone, maybe that's a city employee, that could promote this on social media. I can put ads in the newspaper, put something on the radio about it. And my idea is to kind of sector the town in whatever area a person that's interested in doing this lives in. Then they could take a few block area in that part of town and commit to, doesn't have to be certainly daily, but a regular pass through to keep the trash off of the streets. 2 of the there's several big concerns, but it's usually plastic or another non-degradable, biodegradable material of some kind, and then cigarette filters. The gutters are full of cigarette filters, and it takes a really long time to pick them up. But also, those little fibers in cigarette filters wash down into the waterways and get into the fish's bellies and contaminate the water. So there may be an ordinance for this already, I didn't look it up, but to have taverns and restaurants and some of the apartment complexes that are in the town. The example I think of right off is the Phoenix Apartments. They have cigarette filters in the gutter out there in the piles of them.
Thank you for that.
And you each have a printout of that.
Yep, we do. Thank you.
I love that idea. I think that would be great.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak about a non-agenda item? All right. We will move on to our public hearings. All right, our first public hearing. We'll be going into the public hearing to consider an appeal on a historic landmarks commission decision. I gotta announce that we were already in a meeting. We're
First, you
continuing.
have to entertain the motion to remove the item from the table.
I move to remove this item from the table.
I move that we remove item, where is it?
Corinne already did, she's looking for a second.
Oh, sorry, I didn't
I'll
hear you.
second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So the public hearing is still open, and the rules of order for the public hearing were read in its entirety during the regular session, December 4th, 2024. And with that, we will start with Mike with the staff report.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Council. Last month, we had a fair amount of discussion and testimony with the record and some discrepancies and some challenges with things not matching up. We have since solved that with identifying the building permit that was missing from our records. We located that with the applicant's help, matched it up. It did not, however, result in any change in at least the city's position on this. Robert and I met with the applicant in December after the council meeting to discuss at least what we have found. We also met with the city attorney that things were on the right track with our evaluation and our position. But as part of our meeting with the applicants, what we asked for was the applicants to consider hiring a qualified professional, which essentially means an engineer or a window restoration specialist, to evaluate the condition of the windows to determine if what their contractor and what they believe to be the case as far as the damage that may exist or would occur is in fact true. And so the applicant did that. And so in your packet, you'll see a letter from Les Tipton, an engineer with Associated Design. And his evaluation of the windows is kind of in a summary is that the transom windows are in okay condition. There's really nothing wrong with them other than needing maintenance and repair. But the issue is really with the mullion or the trim work that's between the transoms and the larger windows. He is confident that in the process of removing those larger windows below, the transoms will be significantly damaged and destroyed in the process and will result in them being removed, which then puts you into the next conversation of what do you replace them with? Do you rebuild them in their current condition, or do you replace them with a new window? And staff's position is that the landmarks evaluation had that conversation with the lower windows, which they approved the replacement with the windows that the applicant is proposing. So we feel that the historic landmark standards could still be satisfied with the replacement of the upper transoms with the same style window. And so staff's recommendation and the findings that you have there is to go ahead and overturn the landmarks decision, approve the appeal, and to kind of just move forward with allowing the applicant to replace the windows. Do you have any questions?
So the windows that they've already purchased are okay then?
Yes, we believe that they would be okay.
Well, this just got much easier.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, the engineering analysis was, I think, the tool that we needed to be able to make the decision that we recommend.
Perfect. Thank you, Mike.
Okay, thank you.
Do you need a motion?
No, we're not there yet.
Oh, okay.
Almost over here.
Okay.
I know we want to move on, but at this time, we'll invite public testimony in favor.
I had a really long speech that I was going to get up here and say, but I'm going to make it much smaller because there's a lot of people to talk. So this has been an 18-month process, you guys. This has taken a lot of our time, a lot of our energy, a lot of frustration, and I really don't think that it needed to be this complicated. We had experts that had come and looked at this and had already determined this. So to have to bring in and yet pay for another expert to come in and say the exact same thing, it's really frustrating as a business owner who owns the building to have to be put through this. The most frustrating part is, this is the Greenfield side. We have the Jefferson side that looks just as bad. So are we going to have to put through 18 months of this same frustration that we just had to go through to do the exact same thing on that side? So the Observer did an article for us after our last meeting. There are 26 negative reviews from that. I've actually printed copies and I will give them to you. Not one positive thing was said for the historic district or the city, and that is just really, really sad to me. And it's people that have had to do exactly what we are going through and have had to jump through these hoops, and maybe they don't have the backbone or whatever you might say it to continue this process like we have. But it should not be like this. Our buildings are falling down in the historic district because people are trying to do maintenance and do stuff, and we are hitting roadblock after obstacle after roadblock. And I don't think that the city or the historic district are supporting the people that have the houses or the buildings that need to be repaired. And I think that as a city council, as city, everybody, I think you guys really need to look deep in your hearts and really ask yourself what's important here. 18 months of this pure hell, seriously, is what it has been. You see this binder? Magically, our stuff got lost, but it has been found. Do you know how frustrating this is? Found because I had proof and I kept the proof of it. City should not be losing stuff. So I'm not quite sure. We have fees that we've incurred. So when we come to meetings, we've paid fees. Historic district, we've paid fees. Engineering costs, we've paid fees. Every time I turn around, we have paid fees. We would like to get those fees back because I don't think that we should have had to pay all of these fees every time we've had to go through one of these meetings because A, we were trying to do the right thing. That's when we took it to the city, and I know verbiage was not right. We did not say transom windows, we said storefront windows. Again, we're not the professionals when it comes to windows. So because that wording got mixed up, then,
You can keep going, you do not have a time limit.
okay. Because that wording got mixed up, then we got the approval. I'm just saying, this has just been a very, very frustrating situation. Our honesty and our integrity has been challenged here. That's very frustrating. We are a brand new business coming into LeGrande, trying to make the best of it, and we have hit nothing but roadblocks and caused problems with the city of LeGrande. We don't want that. But that is what has happened. And people have heard about it because people have seen our windows. And why haven't we replaced them? Well, been fighting the city for 18 months. That's why. It's a safety issue. We're lucky somebody has not gotten hurt. That train drives by and it rattles those windows. It truly is a safety issue. And it's just been frustrating for us to hit roadblock after roadblock, and now to have an engineer come and say exactly what we have been seeing. Anything else? Okay. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Anybody else in favor? Neutral? Opposition? Thank you. At this time, I would like to close the hearing and entertain a motion.
I move that the findings of fact and conclusions set forth in the decision order be amended and that the appeal be granted, resulting in the Historic Landmarks Commission decision being overturned.
I'll second.
Is there any more counselor discussion?
I apologize that you had to go through all of that. You shouldn't have to.
With that, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? There you are. All right. We'll move on to our next public hearing, and second reading by title only of proposed ordinance annexation 17 properties grouped in 4 areas, file number 03 ANP-24. The public hearing is still open for the ordinance to be read for a second time by title only and considered for adoption, and that the rules of order for the public hearing were read in its entirety during the regular session of December 4th, 2024. At this time, could we have a staff report, Mike?
Yeah, thank you. So the last month's was the first reading of the ordinances. You have in your packet, you have a letter from Tony Hamilton that was submitted in advance of the deadline, so it made it into your packet. And that's just a reminder of the challenges that Area 1 experiences with access to city water and sewer and the distance from the city main lines and other characteristics with this property that he is requesting to be omitted from the annexation. The conditions for the other properties all still remain the same. You will see some amendments in a couple of the proposed ordinances. The timeline for adoption, whether it's immediate versus whether it has a delay, is based on whether a property is improved with a residential use versus being vacant. And some of the property owners own multiple pieces of property, some vacant and some with a house on it. And 3 of them have consolidated their vacant properties into their house property, which then lumps them all into the 3-year or the delay period. And so that amendment is in those ordinances. And so I think that's Area 1 and Area 3 is where you'll see those changes. And then with that, I just want to just throw out just kind of a reminder. I brought it up last month, but in the discussion of how properties benefit in the urban growth boundary, there are 17 properties in the 4 areas, and 11 of them were either created or modified using the city's land use standards and taking advantage of the benefits and opportunities that the city offers with an urban growth boundary that you could not do and would not be allowed in the county prior to the urban growth boundary. And so I wanted to present that. So I want to present that as something for your consideration, that this is not just properties that have been unchanged and are still original to their county configuration. These are properties that have taken advantage of city opportunities because they're in the urban growth boundary. So anyway, you do have some letters from other properties, from a couple other property owners. I have not seen those and don't have a copy of those. And so after testimony is submitted, if you have questions of me, I'd be happy to respond to any issues raised. Do you have any questions at this time?
I want to just clarify. So on agenda item 5B, the map that shows all of them, in the white is current city, inside the city limits.
Yes.
Okay. And then the kind of yellowy color is urban growth boundary.
Yes, and along with the 4 shaded areas.
Okay.
And we're only talking about the 4 shaded areas that are
Those are-
islands.
Those are all islands right now.
Yes, 100% islands surrounded
Okay.
by city.
All right. I'm reading it right. Thank you.
Am I correct, Mike? Do any of these properties have currently are hooked up to city water or sewer?
No, none of them have city water or sewer service connected.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
Can you clarify, you said that 11 of the 17 properties took advantage of privileges only available because they were within the urban growth boundary. Can you clarify what type of privileges those were? I mean, does that have to do with lot size or divisions or, I mean,
Yeah, so typically when a property comes into the urban growth boundary, and the reason why a property owner chooses to come into the urban growth boundary is because they have a desire to do additional development. And 11 of these properties have done that. And so the configuration that you see today, at least with 11 of those, is a result of the development opportunities that either the current or a prior property owner took advantage of. Yeah.
and so when somebody is included in the urban growth boundary, that is done by their own choice.
Under today's process, I don't know back then, because I don't know what the process was in the 80s, early 90s, when a lot of properties were brought in. I wasn't part of that. But at least in the last 25 years, when we've done urban growth boundary expansions, it is based entirely on property owner consent and property owners wanting to come in. And you'll see, we have a work session next week where we're going to have that same conversation for commercial and industrial land, where we're likely not going to move forward because we don't have that consent. But that is the process that we have, is properties are brought into the urban growth boundary because property owners want that opportunity and ask for that opportunity, and so then they're brought in. Very rarely does somebody get pulled in because they don't want to.
And the idea is that by entering the urban growth boundary, they understand that the city's boundaries will be expanding outward in that dimension potentially.
Yes, that is the,
They
that's
may
the,
be incorporated.
yes, that is the purpose and intent of an urban growth boundary.
Okay.
But when they make that thought that it's going to be expanded out, wouldn't they be under the assumption that they're going to have ability to hook up to water and sewer at that time?
Not always. We have property out, on the outer fringes of the city that don't currently have services. But they come into the city because they want the other city development opportunities that are available. And that's partitioning your property into smaller parcels than the county would allow. It allows uses that are different from what the county has. And there's a lot of benefits in the city that the county does not provide. That is why property owners choose to come into the urban growth boundary. I don't know the reasoning of why these properties came in, but 11 of them have utilized the city land use opportunities to modify their properties or do development opportunities that would not be permitted in the county.
If you're to purchase property up there now, say if it's for sale, you have to buy in with the city sewer and city water, correct? You can't just get the property and then put your own well on it.
Correct. You cannot put a well and septic on a property in the city. So any new development that comes in has to connect to city service, city water and sewer.
And that's on them to pay for all that.
Yes.
So how many of these properties have taken advantage of, did you say 11 properties have taken advantage of being in the city urban growth boundary?
Well, I mean, they've all taken advantage of being in the urban growth boundary because they're in.
Well,
But-
yeah,
But
okay,
11 of them have benefited from opportunities, development opportunities where their properties have been modified and improved based on city land use standards that are not available in the county.
Do you know where those 11 are?
I do. I didn't want to call anybody out, but I do know where those 11 are.
Well, like 1, 2, 3, or 4?
yeah.
We have, I'll just give you kind of a quick summary of,
Does it matter?
yeah, so I have,
Each one separately.
I have one property in Area 1. I have 8 properties in Area 3, and then the one property in Area 4.
Mike, just to be a little more specific, when you say taking advantage of development opportunities, can you give some examples of what those might be?
Yeah, it's typically, at least at this level, it's partitioning and dividing your property into multiple lots and building new homes on them.
So potentially someone with a larger lot can subdivide it and then sell that portion where they would not be able to do that if that was not urban growth boundary.
Correct.
But they could still do it even if they're not annexed in.
Correct. Yeah, the annexation is triggered Right now, it's triggered based on request for water or sewer service,
Right, that's what I thought.
with the exception of this island annexation process that you're considering.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, thank you.
At this time, we would like to invite public testimony in favor to start. Neutral? Oppose? And there is a 3-minute time limit. Yes, please.
My name is Arthur Crocker, and I live on Bonneville Lane. I'm in that shaded area number 1, the larger of the two properties. A month ago, I gave you the facts about no sewer and water services being available to 1506 Bonneville Lane. These facts were not and cannot be disputed. There is no current available pathway to get city sewer and water services to my property at 1506 Bonneville Lane. It could be decades before sewer and water become available to my property. Today I've been given an opportunity to challenge this annexation with the possibilities to have my annexation overthrown. I can think of no stronger challenge to annexation than this city's inability to provide sewer and water services to my property. This is exactly why a challenge is made available. I'll conclude the same way I did last time. I suggest the Grande City Council delay the annexation of 1506 Bonneville Lane indefinitely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Good evening, Mayor Rock and members of the council. My name is Tony Hamilton. I live at 1502 Bonneville Lane. We provided 2 written statements and verbal response at the December meeting regarding the annexation plan. If you annex our properties into the city, wouldn't you expect us to have access to city water and sewer? That seems to be a reasonable assumption. Viable access to those services isn't available to us, period. Can the city provide a written guarantee to give to us the ability to repair or replace our water and septic systems if we are annexed? I will answer that question for you. No, they can't. None of us can predict what the new rules and regulations could be imposed on well and sewer systems located within a city limits. We could be put in a position of not being able to use our own property. You all understand that. And this is very preventable. Those reasons alone are enough for you to leave our property in the county. I spent hours and hours researching possible ways to overcome the obstacles to sewer and water. The city staff has been helpful in answering many of my questions, and I appreciate their time and professional responses. But real solutions at this time are not available to us. The delay provision in the annexation plan only offers a temporary reprieve for us. It does nothing to protect our property. If we should choose to sell our property, that devaluation is what? 300, 400, or more thousands of dollars. That's real money to me. You have the ability to readdress this portion of the annexation process in the future. We urge you to wait until legitimate water and sewer access can be provided. We ask you to understand the consequences and financial impact of hundreds of thousands of dollars of loss will have my wife and I Please consider your decision carefully. Place yourself in our shoes. Our hope is that you delay the annexation to our property and only revisit it when a gravity-fed sewer and adequate water are available to our property line. We think this request is reasonable and provides a good outcome for you as a council and us as property owners. Thank you for the opportunity to challenge our portion of the annexation of our expressed concerns. I don't have enough time. I was going to answer the one question about the change in my position on one of the properties, but.
Thank you.
May I?
It's out of time.
Unfortunately, I give everybody 3 minute time left. I give one extra, I got to give everybody extra. Anybody else would like to speak in opposition?
I'm Art Steffen. I live on 12th Street in the 3rd zone. A couple of acres we live on. And I just want to remind you what I said last week, that many of the people that are in these areas that you're wanting to annex have been there for, some of them, 60, 70 years. A lot of those houses that are up there had sewer and water 20, 30, 40 years before the city even got on the scene. And they're still functioning outside the city's system. And it seems unfortunate that they're going to be penalized for people, developing around them and now being forced into the city and really not deriving any benefit from that annexation. I mean, I can see how the city will benefit, but really those property owners are going to suffer loss in revenue and land use, and they probably aren't going to be hooking up to the city sewer for quite some time. In the future, probably. And maybe that would be a more appropriate time to annex when both parties can benefit. So that's kind of a statement of my opposition.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hi, my name's Sean Bohannon. My situation's a little different than some of my neighbors here. I have 2 tax lots, one that sits in the city, one that sits in the county. I feel like I'm being penalized because my one that sits in the county, I can't do anything with that property. My neighbor, the Teesfelds, they have their septic system that goes through there, and it will not get a permit to build anything on there. I don't even think there's taps at the street to get anything up there. But yet, I'm going to be penalized and charged more for something I can't do anything with. They talk about, taking advantage of things. I moved here, 2015, bought the house in 2016. That was done long before I moved here. But yet, I'm getting penalized to do, just for living there and wanting to enjoy a good piece of property with a decent view. I think you need to shut this down. Me, it doesn't affect, I'm not getting affected as much as some of my neighbors who are going to be penalized thousands of dollars, some of them tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they can't do anything about it. And they're retired too. They have a fixed income. So now they have to come up with this money, to pay for all this stuff. Yeah. But hopefully you make the right decision. you know, that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Jim Holloway. I'm in Area 3. I am speaking specifically to, we have, yeah, everybody who stands up behind this mic gets nervous. Present our points in opposition to this annexation. In the December meeting, we was told that we need to be annexed because we don't pay our fair share. I'd like to address that. We all pay 40 cents a gallon in taxes, whether we live in the city or not. My wife and I have owned and operated businesses in the city of LeGrande, paid LeGrande taxes since 1987. Our house is in the urban development area. We don't want to be in the city. You don't have anything to offer us. When you guys built 12th Street, I think it was overbuilt. 2 bike lanes and 2 sidewalks is a bit much for the foot traffic in that area. But what's done is done. You thought it was going to grow. That was Obama money. It wasn't city money. The several places I found where urban growth money was access to help pay for city streets. That's great. I'm glad it was used. I think these streets definitely need it. The benefits to us, the reasons to not annex us, is there is no benefit to us. We don't need or want city services. When the time comes that we do need them, then it will be beneficial to us and we'll be coming to you asking you to annex us. And it makes good sense to us. If you annex us, the increased cost to us, you double my property taxes. And I believe at the last meeting, Mr. Boquist said they won't force us onto city water and sewer. You have a charter that says otherwise. If we're annexed, we're going to be forced onto city water and sewer. I'm not sure if that's correct or not. Someone else is supposed to be speaking about that. But it is a thing to consider. You're going to double my property taxes. You're going to give me nothing for it. That's pretty significant in my case. I got sick. I'm physically unable to work anymore. I don't have a means to make additional money. I have my wife and I. She is a Girl Scout leader. She's the last Girl Scout leader in Union County, Baker County, and Wallowa County. If we have to come up with an extra $2,300 a year in property taxes, it will affect the money that we use to run that Girl Scout group. My wife and I also run an EAA chapter. We take between 50 and 100 kids every year for their very first airplane ride. It's free to them. Clearly, it's not free to us. If the city annexes us and they cost us all this extra money,
You've came to your time.
that stuff is going to suffer. Sorry?
You've came to your time.
I'm out of time?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Corey Brassett, representing my sister, Cindy Troutman. She has Lot 4, I guess, or Plot 4 on that. We're trying to figure out why she is getting annexed in. You know, like Mike Boquist said, that it sounded like they want to get, if I'm not right, I might be incorrect, but it sounds like they were saying everybody wanted to get annexed into the city. It sounds like nobody wants to get annexed into the city. She just got done remodeling her house 2 years ago, upgrading the septic tank system to the new system that they had to have put in, upgraded her well, and now you're going to force her to go to city and water sewer and put a pump station in to get it up to the sewer line that the neighbors paid to have the sewer line put in, and no doubt there'll be a cost for her to hook onto that. because she's on Gilchrist Road, 1602 Gilchrist, and the neighbors had to pay for the paving of the street, so I don't understand how annexing these properties in is going to benefit anybody when they've already done everything. They've got the water, they got the sewer, they got the gas lines up there. They paid to have the road paved with it. And I understand those people were inside the city limits, and that might be their policy. But to pick her out at one piece of property that's adjacent to Clint Troyer's property, it doesn't make any sense to me. It'll double her property taxes, and for her to put a lift station in and to hook up to water, up to city water and sewer, will probably be $25,000 to $30,000. That does not make any sense to me. And like you say, it's going to double her property taxes, and what benefit is she going to get? They've already paid to get the road done and stuff, and she pays her 40 cents a gallon for the road tax. She buys gas and everything else. So I don't see as this as, to me, this doesn't make any sense. And it sounds like Mike said they wanted to become annexed into the city. I don't think any of these people want to become annexed into the city. So, do you have any questions for me? Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a point of clarification before I get into my testimony in regards to something Mike Boca said.
Okay.
The previous owner of our house subdivided all the land, and as soon as he got them sold, he left town. There was no advantage gained except for a guy that took his money and ran out of town on that. So take that, what he said, with a grain of salt about getting advantages. That kind of, he left us with a mess, the previous owner did, so. Mr. Mayor, city councilors and staff, David Teasfeld here again. My wife and I own a property, house in Area 3. We purchased our property specifically because it was in the county with its own well and septic system. We did not want to have to deal with city rules and regulations, infrastructure, and fees. Emphasis on the fees. That's why we picked where we did to live. Since we purchased our house, 5 more have been built around us. We had no control over that. We should not be penalized for that. To refresh what I said at the last council meeting, our rights as county residents, we're going to lose them. We're going to lose our burn barrels. We're going to lose our right to discharge firearms on our property as we see fit. I will no longer be able to practice with my bow, which I've done for 14 years, in my yard due to city regulations. We're allowed to have livestock as county residents. That will no longer be the case if we get annexed. Our property is over 200 feet from the street, and in turn, those city services. To get to those services, we would have to cross 2 of our neighbors' properties. While we do have an easement through those properties, one of them being Sean, the other one chose to build a 5-foot-tall retaining rock wall directly over the top of our easement, rendering that easement unusable for us for future use. That has a potential for a huge lawsuit down the road. If we put our house up for sale tomorrow, our market value of our house would be $750,000 to $800,000. Right now, you cannot find a house for sale in Grande in that price range. Our competition for selling a house in that price range is out in the county. If we get annexed, our property taxes will go from $5,200 a year to $8,000 a year. So we're going to be competing against the houses out in the county that are going to be $3,000 less a year in taxes. So if we get annexed, it will devalue our house because we're going to have to lower our asking price in order to compete with those houses that are out in the county with the taxes. At this time, everybody here representing a piece of property that's going to be affected, would you all please stand? Any of you that
You've
are
come
for-
to your time, sir.
Any of you for annexation, please remain, sit down. If you're not for annexation, please stay standing.
And you made your point.
Thank you for your time, and please, just leave it status quo. Even Mike told me that would be best.
Sorry, I'm short. My name's Darcy Bloom. I my husband and I own a house up there in section number 3. I would like to address the comment that Mike Boquist made that the properties are taking advantage of the expansions. I know we've been up there for 20 years. We certainly did not take advantage of that. We've never we've never subdivided our property. It was as is when we bought it. I know all of our neighbors around us are pretty much in the same situation. The ones that looked into subdividing their properties have now merged them, so they're all back to the same property again. So I don't understand his comment that we've already taken advantage of that subdivision ability, because as far as I know, none of us have. So that's definitely a concern to me, to be accused of that when that's not something that we did. If it was done, then it was done well prior to us purchasing the property 20 years ago. We just want to ask that you not annex us at this time, and let us choose on our own to be annexed, as we need public services. That's what we feel is right. We bought those properties because they were outside of the county or outside of the city limits. We had no intentions of being inside the city, or we would have bought a house inside the city. So at this time, we ask that you not annex us. We're not benefiting in any way for you to annex us, but it does increase our property taxes. The city, I did some estimations on everybody's property taxes that'll go up. The city is benefiting by about $36,000 a year, is all that you guys are increasing your budget by. I know for the city, that's not a lot, but for us, coming out of our pockets, that's a lot of money, especially where most of us are on fixed incomes. That's a lot coming out of our pockets that it's, we're gonna have other places that we're gonna have to cut, so that we can afford to stay there. Or, some may even end up selling because they can't afford to keep up the taxes. So thank you, and I appreciate your consideration on this.
Thank you.
My name is Karen Hamilton. I'd like to just go ahead and clarify something. Mr. Boquist said that in section 1, that someone had taken advantage of the opportunity. What was the wording used? Somebody help me with the wording. Anyway, in section 1, we did go ahead and recently take our road and put it with our house property, so we have 1 lot instead of 2. And we did that because we were advised to do that because of the actions happening. So I can't think that that's a problem, that we've gone ahead and put the 2 tax lists together. And it sounds like we're being penalized because we've done that. But I want to clarify that that is the advantage that we have taken. We went ahead and just added those 2 lots together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name's Jamie Teesfeld. My husband and I own parcels that are in the proposed annexation. Like everyone else here who are listed on the proposal, I'm against it. Last month, Mike Boquist stood before you, and he stated a reason for the annexation is because the parcels listed are not paying for the roads that we use. Well, Mr. Boquist himself, he does not pay for the roads that he uses. He doesn't even live in LeGrand. He lives in Cove. Takes a salary here, and all his money goes to Cove. My husband and I have lived here for 17 years. We have brought tens of thousands of dollars into the community, hence paying for a lot more than just the roads that we use. The parcels listed are just not a piece of land or a house attached to each property, and lives will be changed, and not in a good way. Thank you, guys.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak on this matter? Nope. All right, this time, I would like to invite counselor discussion.
I have a few questions for Mike.
Okay.
How far are Area 1 and Area 4 from the tapping into the sewer and water?
So Area 1, I don't know the distance, but the Hamiltons have laid that out. It is a lot.
It's 1,200 feet to my property and 1,600 feet.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to guess 1,500, but
So what we have here says that public sewers required if it's within 200 feet of the property line. So if it's not, then we don't require public sewer on something that's being annexed. Am I understanding that right?
no, let me clarify that, because that's a misunderstanding that has been repeated a number of times. There's a 300-foot rule with DEQ that if you have a septic system failure and you're going to replace your septic system, then and if you have city services within 300 feet, you have to connect to that service unless it's physically impossible. So that's DEQ's rule. City's rule is when somebody comes in, if they're going to do a repair permit on a septic system, we do a land use compatibility statement signature for DEQ, and we have a number of folks that have done that in the past where they can have their septic tank repaired or replaced, but if you're going to replace your whole system, that's a replacement that triggers based on that 300-foot rule. And the other clarification is that annexation does not require connection to city services.
Sir, you've had your time.
That's what I'm trying to clarify here.
Yeah, so the city council.
We have the city code sitting.
Yeah, so our city code is for new construction. If you're doing new construction and you need city services, you have to connect to city services. Okay. Annexation by itself does not trigger a forced connection. Your existing system is grandfathered, non-conforming, and you can continue to have that forever and ever and ever. But at some point when it fails, that's when the conversation of city services comes in. Okay. And city code is very specific and clear about that under the non-conforming use chapter.
Is that in this section 3872 and 3873?
I don't know. I'd have to look up those numbers. I don't know what those numbers represent.
I don't know. Yeah, I want to make sure that we have a good understanding of this.
My understanding the whole time has been that they don't have to hook up unless there's failure. And even at failure, there's particular caveats. But nothing about annexation requires that tomorrow they hook up.
Because this is a particular sticking point, and I want to make sure that we understand that.
Mayor, if I could interject, members of the audience can no longer provide comments. That portion of the hearing has closed.
There's no physical way to get to my property. Okay, I'm sorry.
We've given you your time, and now it's time for us to move on with the meeting.
Thank you.
We appreciate your comments. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, this section looks like it's a public works standard for just general water and sewer infrastructure. This is not a land use standard. This is not a standard that we utilize in the annexation process or any land use development piece. This just from looking at the numbers, this is not part of the land use code. And I don't see anything that specifically says that you shall connect and you shall abandon your system.
So to be clear, if annexation happens tomorrow, connecting to sewer and water and all those expenses that go with it do not have to happen,
Correct.
unless there's a failure of the system and there's a DEQ issue or a request. So I have another question. Are livestock grandfathered in?
Livestock would be grandfathered in if you already have it. It has nothing to do with annexation. The urban growth boundary is subject to the exact same land use standards as city properties. It's all based on the zoning, and that is one of the benefits that properties in the urban growth boundary get to enjoy along with the city residents, is you have the exact same land use standards, and that is why those properties are treated like city properties, and they get all the benefits of city properties. And so if you already have livestock and you're in the urban growth boundary, you're probably already grandfathered because they may or may not be permitted already. Because it has nothing to do with urban growth boundary versus city. It's all based on the city zone, which all urban growth boundary is in one city zone or another. And we only have a couple zones.
Is this in, I don't remember those R1 and R2.
Yeah. I think all of these properties are in the R1 zone, low-density residential. And livestock is prohibited with the exception of like chickens and small critters like that.
Okay.
You can't have goats and horses and cows and those kind of things. Those are grandfathered in if somebody has those.
And what about shooting a bow?
That would be subject to a different city ordinance. Right now, that is accurate. Mr. Theisfeld is accurate with that statement that going from county to city, the city ordinance, I believe, prohibits shooting of firearms and that kind of stuff.
A bow's not a firearm.
Well, that's a police chief question. I can't tell you, but I know like shooting of weapons is generally something that's not permitted in the city.
Which is fair enough.
Yeah.
I guess I think the biggest question is the fact that these people, none of them want to have city sewer and water because they already have wells and septic tanks.
Right.
And a lot of them cannot ever be connected at the moment,
Well, two of them.
2 of them.
Only 2 of them.
It's still 2 of them that cannot connect.
Cannot.
Right, that's area 1. That's the only area. So I'm thinking, if that's a consideration of yours, area 1 is the only area that fits that criteria. All of the other properties have access to city water and sewer at their frontage.
I mean, another point that I would have is we've had lots of discussion on shortage of housing. And this is one of those long-term thoughts of how do we solve this problem in the city. So we've kind of looked at this big picture in the past. So with this, the city can, if you annex, you can specify an effective date. At least 3 years, and it can be up to 10 years. And I think that is something that we should consider. This is distressing, but we also need to think of what is our community going to be like 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now, and how are we going to accommodate citizens? And this is one way to do that.
I'm not sure how you figure that's going to accommodate citizens.
Just allows for more housing, more
Well, they
space
can still
for
build
housing.
up there.
Not,
I mean, because they're in the urban growth boundary, they can still build.
And if they build now, they have to buy into the city sewer and water.
No. Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
all
no.
new construction has to
Right,
connect.
so that's okay, so they build, they have to go into it. I will vote against this anyway, because I will never annex anybody who does not want to be annexed. That's been my goal since I took office. So, but I don't think they should go through it all.
Yeah, just for clarification, city water and sewer is not the only benefit of being
Right.
in the city. There are lots of benefits, and 11 of these properties have benefited from being in the urban growth boundary and enjoying the city land use opportunities. And consolidation of property, I just want to clarify that, is not one of those things. So
I was gonna say-
that happens everywhere. So the consolidation is not a trigger.
I didn't
And I
think
don't
so.
want to call out any specific property, but I know some of the property owners that have come up here and spoke are still sitting on the original parcel and has been unmodified. But 11 out of these 17 those properties have been modified, reduced in size, and they have benefited from
But you said if they stay in the urban growth boundary, they can still do that.
They could, and that's a benefit of this, of the city's code in being in the urban growth boundary. They are benefiting
So they
from
already
being in
have
the
that
city.
benefit.
Yeah, so the point I want to make is water and sewer is not, is not the trigger or the threshold for whether somebody should be annexed or not from a justification standpoint. That's a trigger for when you're required to do it, but the why you should be annexed is, are you in the city or are you not functionally? And I think based on what is in front of you, all of these properties are functionally in the city and benefiting from all of the city benefits, even if they don't physically receive one or two in particular. They benefit from all of them.
If I might, I mean, I think there's a couple of perspectives here. One is the perspectives of the city, the citizens of LaGrande, who are part of the city, who are paying taxes to, you know, that help fund the roads, help fund the library, help fund the pool, the police, the fire, all of the services that we enjoy. To them, these properties, which have been effectively surrounded by the city boundaries, are freeloading. You know, they're enjoying, they literally cannot access their property without accessing city roads and other things. So that is one perspective. And I mean, at some level, cities grow. If you can imagine a small city, if everybody on the outskirts said, hey, I'm on the outskirts and I never ever want to be part of the city because my taxes are going to go up, and the city surrounds them, I mean, you have pockmarks, islands that are completely surrounded. That's the big picture. This is a little different to me. I live up there, and I mean, this is really the edge of the city. Most of these properties, the city really hasn't grown much beyond that. I mean, you can draw boundaries, but it's not like there's a lot of homes up there. These tend to be larger lots. It's largely undeveloped. I don't know that we're quite there. And so, I mean, yes, there's issues with, you know, hey, there aren't taxes being paid to access some of the city services, but at the same time, I don't know, I guess, you know, my feeling is, as many of these citizens have expressed, this is going to create a hardship for a lot of these people. I don't know that I feel comfortable with this. This is a little bit different. You know, this is the group of people that didn't elect to connect into sewer and water and some of the other things. I don't feel comfortable with this particular annexation. I would, you know, and I hear what you're saying, Karina, you know, can we kick this down the road 10 years or so? But I mean, gosh, I've lived up there almost 10 years. There hasn't been a ton of development up in that area. You know, Ridge, we all thought Ridge was going to expand. That would be the backside of these property ones that, you know, Area 1 properties. I mean, potentially if Ridge was growing, you could go in there. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, I think that huge parcel just sold. It may not be developed the way that Ridge was originally planned. You know, they've struggled to get building up there and expand up there. And I think, personally, I feel like kicking this needs to be kicked down the road. You can't forever allow these islands to stay within the city and discharge firearms. And, you know, those are things that are inappropriate to do when you're surrounded by city boundaries. But I don't think I'm there. I do not feel, I invite the thoughts of my fellow councilors, but I don't feel comfortable with this one.
Well, I never have felt comfortable with this.
I don't either. Like you said, they've been there 20-plus years and stuff. You keep saying the word grandfathered in. If I lived up there, I wouldn't want to have it forced off on me.
I don't either. Well, I wouldn't. I can't vote for, I can never vote for annexing people in who do not want to be annexed. And they have to have a reason to want to be annexed, and I don't hear that reasoning come out at all.
I would just like to say, just for context, that I think we are the ones as a body who asked for this. We had a conversation, I don't know, 18 months ago. Said, how can we raise some revenue? I have 8 more minutes on council. I mean, I could
How do you
put
mean
this
8
dog
more
down.
minutes? You got another 20 minutes.
We asked for this, and we got in a series of blocks annexation parcels. We've done this over a series of meetings. And it was very palatable for everybody.
No, not me.
Okay, almost everybody, caveat. The argument was, if they're surrounded, They're inside the urban growth boundary. They know this was going to happen. This is not news. They just hoped it wouldn't happen to them. And here we are at the end of them. We liked the first one because they were using water and sewer.
Sure.
That made it easy. And stepwise, as we've moved along, it's become harder. This is the hardest decision we've had. We saved the hardest one for
Right.
last. I think it got kind of teed up that way.
But then I also think that we didn't realize all of the nuances of this particular.
That could very well be. I just want to remind my counselors that we asked for this.
We did ask staff.
And
Some of them asked for it.
of course, Marianne,
I know.
nobody, if I can finish,
Yes.
nobody who has been before us for annexation has really desperately wanted it. They're not running through the door. Each block that we've looked at, people have come in here and said, no, thank you. I think it's fine if you want to say no. I just want to remind everybody that Mike has done this work at our request.
Yeah, I know.
Because we were looking at trying to raise city revenue. If this seems too much, if it seems too impactful, if you want to kick it 10 years, it's going to have to happen. I do think that some of the privileges afforded to them as members of the county are not appropriate given the geography. They're very much in the city, and shooting a bow in some of these places may not be the greatest idea. Your kids play there. So that's my 2 cents on it. I'm happy to reserve my vote for the vote, but I don't want to like dump it on Mike when we were the very body that made this happen.
Yeah, I don't think we should dump it on Mike either. I just think that some of these issues, the rest of the council, I mean, since that was because that was a goal of mine that I would never annex anybody in that didn't want to. But the rest of you, I don't think realized all the nuances of being in this one.
I don't think that's fair. I'm not sure that gives the credit to your fellow councilors, but I think it's an awesome campaign platform for 28.
I'm not going to do that one. Doesn't matter about that one.
And you're right, Nicole. I mean, and that's why it's a hard decision, because there are benefits that are being obtained by these properties. Again, I mean, the roads, the access to the library, the pool, you know, all these other things that people are taxed for. That's the idea of a city, is that you trade those revenues that, you know, that come in, that go out in taxes for the privileges that are afforded there. You know, you've got to draw a line somewhere, and I like you said, the other ones, you know, to me they were more palatable because there was always a trade-off. There were going to be benefits that they would gain in the annexation in terms of lower water and sewer rates and that sort of thing. This particular group of individuals, they really don't get that added benefit. And for many of the others, that trade-off was not an equal one. They still were going to be probably paying more out in taxes, in the increase in property taxes, than they were gaining by decreasing their water and sewer rates. But this to me is just, it's a step further than I think I in particular am willing to go. But Nicole brought up a good point, and that is that we did ask for this. We looked at it. I mean,
Well, I think you asked to have it looked at, not necessarily that we would do it.
and Mike's done an admirable job.
He did, yes.
It presenting this, and frankly, I mean, presenting it as you should from the perspective of the city. You know, I mean, it's sitting on this dais. We don't have the luxury of representing one person. We have to represent the entirety of the citizens of LaGrande. And admittedly, for those citizens, you know, who are being taxed and are subsidizing some of the benefits that are being obtained by others, you know, there's two stories to be told. We're hearing one side tonight. We're not hearing people crawl out of the woodwork who are paying taxes saying, hey, I'm paying my taxes, but, you know, people are driving on my roads and are doing these other things. They don't come to meetings like this. But at the same time, again, I think we have to listen to the people that are most impacted, and it's the people in this room. So.
I agree. You know, very first off to each one of you, Mike has a hard job. He does not get to be the favorable one in the room. He has to do a lot of work to bring this in front of us. We asked for this. We asked him to bring this to us. Do I agree with the stage? No. Do I agree with the ones that came in front of us? Yes, I did. And I fought with or argued with a few of them, which I'm not supposed to. But, you know, the thing is, he did his job, and he did a great job. We appreciate it, Mike. But with that, we need to get moving with the rest of the meeting. Is there any other counselor has any more discussion? So at this time, I would like to close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
I move that the proposed ordinance annexing areas 1 through 4 be denied. Is that what I want to say, how I want
It is not. You want to read the motion as it is written,
Oh.
and then a yes vote, we continue to do them.
But I don't want to do that.
A no vote.
I can't make another vote, I can't make another measure, motion?
The cleanest thing, because it's a public hearing for land use, is to make the motion to adopt. And then if a majority says no, then we're done and we don't go through the
Why
reading.
can't I say that I vote that we, or I move that we do not accept this motion?
If you would like to make a motion to
But
not
I'm trying
read
to
it,
figure out
you
how to
can.
say it right.
How to say
I-
it correctly.
Right, that's it,
I-
right, quick.
Can we just
Because it's a
pass
negative
the
vote.
motion as presented and you can fail it or not?
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
That's what I'm trying to
Yeah,
convey to
because the other way
Councilor
you're
Beasley.
saying, you're making a negative motion and you don't really want to make a negative motion.
Correct.
I couldn't figure out how to
Yeah.
say it right.
Mayor, I would.
Here, how about we move on?
Nicole's gonna-
I have a
We have some
motion.
of them.
I really,
Go ahead.
2 minutes. I move that the proposed ordinance annexing areas 1 through 4 be read for the second time by title only, put to a vote, and adopted.
It's the unadopted part, I think.
Yeah.
And you
And
need
you either say yes or no to that.
You need a second so that a majority of you can say no and we can move.
I'll second.
Could we do a
So
roll
Nicole
call
can
vote?
go.
So we have a motion and a second. Now we have to go through and read all these, then a vote, or can we do?
Let's just do one vote and we'll do it by roll call and we'll be done.
Okay.
One vote for all.
So we have a motion
Yeah,
and a
because
second. At this time, can we have a roll call vote?
Yes.
Justin Rock,
No.
David Glabe,
No.
Corinne Dudo,
Yes.
Nicole Howard,
Yes.
Molly King,
No.
Marianne Miesner.
No.
Motion fails.
And now we don't read them and they don't get voted on individually.
That's,
So
well,
you're done.
it's all part of that motion anyway, 1 through 4, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unfinished business? We have none.
Thank you.
And at this time, I don't know for this one.
What is this?
I'm gonna wait a moment, let everybody walk out that wants to leave. What you want to say and watch.
Okay, I have to go past this now. You're very welcome.
I suppose I can. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, this is so
I do. I realize but I do.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, in my backyard. I appreciate all of the different sides. I will, your daughter as well.
Ally says.
I'm so sorry, see Mike, I think he did too much, but I think he did a good job.
And I think that as we annex in, I mean, as.
Get an award.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
I thought you were done.
No, we're not done. We have a very long meeting still.
I hope some of you will go back and just express your thanks to Mike.
Yes, I'm going to. I'm going to.
No, you're good. I'm gonna give her a award right now. I didn't have to take my shoes off the count.
Did you take your shoes off the count?
No, I said it did not.
Oh.
Good job. All right. Excuse me. If everybody could kind of keep it down for a moment so I can give this award to this person that dedicated 8 years of her extra time and coming in here and putting up with a lot of stuff. We've not always agreed or looked on the same thing, but I'll tell you what, every time we talk, you'll listen to me, I listen to you, and I want to say thank you. I appreciate it.
You're very
And
welcome.
you did amazing jobs as a counselor.
Thanks. Thanks, Mr.
Thank you.
Mayor. Appreciate it. Thanks, man.
And
Awesome.
that's yours too. Thank you.
Stop counting down.
Go home, put on a game.
Model City Council.
So at this time, if we could take a 5-minute break so we can get everything else set up, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay, fine. Class. But that's what I signed up for. So at this time, we're going to start doing our swearing. We're going to start in order. When we're done, we will also, like after the meeting, for everybody that's getting sworn in, we'll go into the annex, and I have the notary to do. So for now, we're just going to stand here and
Raise my
look
hand.
pretty. Now, if you could just take just a quick step back. Okay, raise your right hand and repeat after me.
That is my right.
Yeah. I state your name.
I, Justin Rock,
Do hereby solemnly swear
do hereby solemnly swear
that I will support the constitutions
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States of America and the state of Oregon,
of the United States of America and the state of Oregon,
the charter and ordinances of the city of LaGrande,
the charter and ordinances of the city of LaGrande,
and that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my ability and according to law,
to the best of my ability and according to law,
faithfully perform the duties of mayor for the city of LaGrande
faithfully perform the duties of mayor of the city of LaGrande
during my term of office in position number 1.
during my term of office in position number 1.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yay! Okay, we'll call Ricky. Ricky, you're up next. Okay, just stand right there.
Okay.
Okay, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Ricky Jo Hickey,
Do hereby solemnly swear
Do
or
here-
affirm
do hereby affirm
Thank you. That I will support the constitutions
that I will support the constitutions
of the United States of America and the state of Oregon,
of the United States of America and the state of Oregon,
the charter and ordinances of the city of LaGrande,
the charter and ordinances of the city of LaGrande,
and that I will,
to
the best of my ability and according to law,
the best of my ability and according to law,
faithfully perform the duties of counselor for the city of LaGrande
faithfully perform the duties of counselor for the city of LaGrande
during my term of office in position number 2.
during my term of office in position 2.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome. Now you can take your seats. Dave, you're up. That's right. Just going in order.
I agree. I'm in agreement.
Okay, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, David Glade,
Do hereby solemnly swear
do hereby solemnly swear
that I will support the constitutions
that I will support the constitutions
of the United States of America and the state of Oregon,
of the United States of America and the state of Oregon,
the charter and ordinances of the city of LaGrande,
the charter and ordinances of the city of LaGrande,
and that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my ability and according to law,
to the best of my ability and according to law,
faithfully perform the duties of counselor for the city of LaGrande
faithfully perform the duties of counselor for the city of LaGrande
during my term of office in position number 3.
during my term of office in position number 3.
Congratulations. Go by the mic, otherwise Brent will get upset with us.
Oh, I never thought about that.
Okay, raise your right hand and repeat after me.
Okay.
I state your name.
Mary Ann Meisner,
Do hereby solemnly swear.
hereby so solemnly swear.
I know it's a lot of words.
Yeah.
That I will support the constitutions
That I will support the constitutions
of the United States of America and the state of Oregon,
of the United States of America and the state of Oregon,
the charter and ordinances of the city of LaGrande,
the charter and ordinances of the city of LaGrande,
and that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my ability and according to law,
to the best of my ability and according to law,
faithfully perform the duties of counselor for the city of LaGrande,
faithfully perform the duties of counselor for the the city of LaGrande
and during my term of office in position number 4.
during my time of office in position 4.
That'll work. Congratulations.
Thank you.
The new council.
Good job, Stacy. And everybody else. Thank you. All right, we will open up and go to new business. The first part of new business will be election of mayor pro tem. I would like to nominate Mary Ann Meisner for mayor pro tem for this next 2 years. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any other nominees or, no? All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? No. All right, Miss Mary Ann Meisner is now the mayor pro tem. Dave did an amazing job. Mary Ann has been on here for a very long time. But I think Mary Ann would do an amazing job. She actually filled in for me when I had no voice the last time, which is very hard when I have to sit at the end and I can't speak and Mary Ann's sitting there, yes. But she did an amazing job, and so if I'm not here, I think she will do an amazing job as well. But thank you, Mary Ann.
Thank you.
Next, we will move on to consider, no, that's not the right one. Sorry. There's a lot of paperwork on this one.
Yeah, the next one's small paperwork is the council appointments, 10B.
Committee assignments.
Section 10, I think. Is that next?
Yeah, 10B, it's the city councilor board, not the advisory commissions.
Oh, okay. So on this one, considering ratifying counselor's board, committee and commission assigning for calendar year 2025. And with that, I just read through who we have set, correct?
That's correct.
All right. So these are the boards and committees that us as counselors will be sitting on. The first one I will be starting with will be Chamber of Conference Board of Directors. The representative for this one will be Molly King. Myself, Justin Rock, will be the alternative. Council Audit Committee will be David Glabe and Corinne Dudo. Northeast
What,
Oregon.
excuse me, Mayor?
Oh, I'm sorry, too fast.
One of the two has to be either the mayor or the mayor pro tem.
Oh,
I guess it's yours.
no, David. Oh, no. I did that to
You
myself.
just unseated him.
I did. Sorry, David. So with that, I will actually put myself and replace David. So myself and Corinne will be on the Audit Committee. The next one will be Northeast Oregon Housing Authority Board of Directors, Mary Ann Meisner and David Glabe. Union County Airport Commission, the representative will be David Glabe, and Corinne Dudo will be the alternative. The Union County Safe Committees Coalition representative will be Corinne Dudo. The alternative will be Ricky Joe Hickey. The Union County Senior Council will be represented by Denise Wheeler. The alternative will be Marianne Meisner. And the Union County Tourism Promotion Advisory Committee will be Marianne Meisner with the alternative of Molly King. And that is it.
And Mary Ann, there is a meeting of that coming up pretty shortly, just so you know. There is a meeting of that coming up very shortly.
Which one?
The tourism.
Oh, when is it, do you know?
I'll talk to you.
On that, now we will move on to considering appointing citizens to various committees and commissions. As mayor, this is not my fun part. I mean, appointing people is fun, but there's a lot of them in this one. So the first one will be the Air Quality Commission. Applications, Jennifer Williams. Looks like that's it. I move that Jennifer Williams will be appointed to the Air Quality Commission for a 3-year term, which will expire December 31st, 2027. Do we have any discussion on this one? Vote. All in favor? Aye.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Don't you need a second?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll second it.
I have a second. All in favor? Aye.
So we're short 2 on that commission. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, the next one will be the Arts Commission. Looks like there's 3 people applying and 3 positions, so we're doing well. I move that Amy McIntosh and Corey Peak be appointed to the Arts Commission, each for a 3-year term, which will expire December 31st, 2027, and Michaela Rollins be appointed for a 2-year term, which will expire on December 31st, 2026.
I'll second.
Any more discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All righty. We are moving on to the Library Advisory Commission.
Budget?
What about the budget?
Oh. I skipped the best one.
Yeah.
How did I do that? I skipped landmarks as well. Sure. All right, So with this, we only have one position. I move that Gary Lillard be appointed to the Budget Committee for a 3-year term, which will expire December 31st, 2027.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And we have 2 vacancies with Gary being on.
Correct, but that was the only
I'm keeping track of how
applicant.
many more we need to fill. That'll be nice to have him back.
Landscape.
There we go. I'm on track. We're good. All right. I move that Jennifer Williams be appointed to the Community Landscape and Forestry Commission for a 3-year term, which will expire on December 31st, 2027.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. We are going to move on to Landmarks Advisory Commission. I move that Catherine Bula be appointed to the Landmarks Advisory Commission for a 3-year term, which will expire December 31st, 2027.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The Library Advisory Commission. So looks like,
We got 5 people and two openings, 2 vacancies.
this one is the one that Stacy needs to read.
That is
Right.
correct.
Thank you.
So because that there is 5 applicants and there's only 2 vacancies, this is why I'm reading this. It's an update to an administrative rule. Administrative Rule 199-050-0055, which is the public vote requirements, went into effect on October 1st, 2024. Those new rules include requirements for how written ballots will be handled in a public meeting, which are: if written ballots are used, the written ballot shall identify the individual governing body member by name, and each governing body member's vote shall be announced during the meeting at which the vote occurred. Previously, the City Council used written ballots to vote for individuals to be appointed to committees or commissions when there were more applicants than available positions. After tallying the votes, the mayor would nominate individuals for the open positions based on the results of the written ballots, followed by a vote of the council. With the new rules in effect, a different process will be implemented for such circumstances. Instead of using written ballots, the council will now have the opportunity to discuss nominations openly during the meeting before the mayor makes a nomination. A motion will then be placed, followed by a vote of the council. This year, the new process will only be implemented for 2 commissions, which are the Library Commission, which is the one that we are on right now, and the Planning Commission, as all other vacancies can be filled without choosing between applicants. Does anybody have any questions?
Are there any regulations, I guess not pertaining specifically to what you read, Stacy, but I noticed that a couple of the applicants are not city residents, but they're county or urban growth boundary. Is that?
Yeah, so the way that the city council has structured this, some of the committees and commissions are only city residents. Some can be city residents and urban growth boundary. Some can be school district, some can be county. So there are limitations on the number of non-residents. And within the body of the CAF, it will typically talk about how many can be county or urban growth boundary, et cetera. So there are limitations, but we do have the provision that allows people that are not city residents to serve on city advisory commissions.
So that is relevant to this because according to the 3rd paragraph, it is a limit of 1 that can be within the urban growth boundary or the Union County boundary. 2 of the applicants are within those, so we could not vote for both of those individuals.
That is correct.
Correct.
Okay.
Is there
Unless we
anyone
are-
already on the commission
Yes, I was gonna
that
ask.
is urban growth boundary or Union County?
There is not at this time.
Okay.
They're all residents
There
right
is
now.
one spot open currently for either 1 urban growth boundary or 1 Union County.
Okay.
So, but like David said, you can't vote for both Deborah and both Kate because they are outside of city limits.
And just to clarify, because for me, I think it's relevant for this, but how does the tax support structure work for the library for those that are outside of city limits?
I'll let the library director speak to that in terms of what we do, but just in general terms, Union County provides $40,000 a year to the city in support of library services. And in essentially exchange for that, we do not charge a library card fee for county residents. And I think there's some additional nuances to the services that I'll let Carrie talk to. Please.
So if you remember, if you live in the county, you can get a card free of charge. If you live within city limits of a city that has their own library, I always recommend that they get a card there to support their own library. This would be Elgin, North Powder, and Union. So if you live within those areas and you would like to get a card, then you can pay for a membership with the library. Actually, anybody can pay for a membership. If you live in Washington, you can pay for a membership with us. And with that membership fee, you get access to our hotspots, which are very popular, our Library of Things items. So those are the big electronics that you can check out. And then also, we have several streaming services, Hoopla, Canopy, I'm going to forget. MyHeritage is an ancestry search site. I know I'm forgetting something. Wasn't expecting this. I think that's it right now. But we're continually adding things to expand that collection. But does that help?
Yeah, so I mean, the short answer is that there is financial support coming to the library.
Correct.
For those that are not necessarily within the city's boundaries.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I can tell you all of the applicants that we got do have a library card with us.
Thank you.
Oh, that's a good.
So, very unique. Do we just go through by name, yay, nay?
Well, it's
look at there.
really up to you.
I mean, I want to be fair, but we got to go through and we got to vote on these 5 different people for 2 positions.
Well, what you could potentially start by identifying which of the 2 that are county urban growth boundary, and essentially
Which-
select from there.
Which happens.
It's possible that some of the council members know some of these individuals, maybe from their applications. There's one that you feel may be more qualified or a better fit.
I think they're both pretty qualified because it's Debbie Mills, who used to be the school district for years and years.
But we're not required to
No,
have
you're not.
someone, we're just allowed.
Correct.
Yeah.
That is correct.
I personally would prefer city residents to have a priority over non-city residents. It's one of those benefits of living in the city. So, Debbie is very qualified.
Yes, she is.
But just from perspective of if this
Well,
is.
I was just giving out the 2 that are not city residents.
Yeah.
And Kate Puckett, I don't know Kate, I know Debbie, but I sounded like she was pretty qualified too.
I think Mr. Anderson looks very qualified, and he's like filled in for a
Is he
few
the
months,
incumbent?
it looks like.
He is.
He's an incumbent.
He served and volunteered his time already, so I think,
Okay.
in my
it
eyes,
says
I think
just
he should
pass
have
it.
one
Yeah.
position
Yeah.
of the 2.
I like that. The other one, it looks like we have EOU's librarian, who would probably have some unique perspective there as well, and that's Kim Olson-Charles.
I don't know.
I really appreciated that Rebecca Workman said that she felt like this was a good way to begin being more civically engaged, and she looked forward to being able to participate in that.
And had a library card for 60 years, which is,
Can we ask you, Cassie, if
I'm not going to pick
Carrie?
favorites.
Okay, that's what I,
He doesn't want to get into
You don't
trouble.
No,
have a
I know.
recommendation then?
yeah, that's,
So you don't have a recommendation, that's what I'm asking.
I would ask that you not ask her for one.
okay, never mind, Carrie, we
This,
won't ask.
this is the council's advisory commission, and that's why, I never give a recommendation on these, and I don't think it's fair that the staff does either. This really is a commission that the council needs to determine who you want to sit on.
So, I think next best way is, we have one position. I think John Anderson should be one of them. He's already served, he's volunteered his time, he's done a great job, so I think he should continue.
I
As
agree.
the other position, I think we just go through, each counselor says which one they want, and whoever has the most votes, we move on. Very fair, and,
So do we want to vote on John first?
yeah, I probably should ask that. Does everybody agree with me on John to start with?
Yes, okay.
Does everybody agree?
I can go with that, yeah.
Yes.
Very well.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
second position, I will start at the end. Who would you like, Grande?
Oh, that's so hard.
I know, we got to pick one, though.
Start with the end over there.
It's going to be the same either way.
Well, Molly can go first.
I'm ready.
Go ahead, Molly.
Mills, Deborah Mills.
Okay, so we have one for her,
I like Debbie too. Yes, I would go with Debbie.
so we have two for her.
Actually, I hear what you're saying, Kareem, but I like Debbie.
So we have three, and I would go for Debbie, so we have four. So, I mean, who would you two like?
I
will
would
still
like
ask your
Rebecca Wortman.
Perfect.
I know and love Debbie too, and I think she would do a great job. So I'll vote for Debbie.
Okay, so that was actually pretty easy.
I mean, I do, yeah. I don't
So
know.
now I
So
make
we
your
voting?
motion and.
I am going to move now.
Doesn't matter who I.
So here we go. I move that John Anderson and Deborah Mills be appointed to the Library Advisory Commission for a 4-year term each, which will expire December 31st, 2028.
Second.
We have motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. What, why is it got to be so complex?
We should
The
ask those,
old way was so much easier.
we should ask the other three if they're interested in some of these openings in other places, though, if they're willing to
Absolutely.
serve. I think-
Especially, I like Rebecca, like you said,
Yeah.
you know.
Right.
We should ask, is there a way to invite them directly and say?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, I'd appreciate that.
All right, so we are going to move on to the Parking, Traffic, Safety, and Street Maintenance Advisory Commission,
This is easy.
PITSMAC. I move that Vianne Young be appointed to the Parking, Traffic, Safety, and Street Maintenance Advisory Commission for a 3-year term, which will expire December 31st, 2027.
Second.
We have motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No? All right, we are on to Parks and Recs Advisory Commission.
Does that one follow the same where we can only have one?
There's 4 spaces.
But this can only be,
4 spaces.
yes, but there's 2 of them that are outside the area.
So that one has different requirements.
So that's why I was wondering, are there requirements that they have to be
We would,
residents?
no, this one is fine. Yeah, for the resolution.
Thank you.
All right, so this one is actually easier because there's 4 spots of 4 people, so there is no problem. I move that Darren Dudo and Sean Lanier be appointed. Thank you, Stu. Appreciate it. Be appointed to the Parks and Recs Advisory Commission for each a 3-year term, which will expire on December 31st, 2027. And Bob Mills be appointed for a 2-year term, which will expire December 31st, 2026. And Kate Puckett be appointed for a 1-year term, which will expire on December 31st, 2025.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
Do I vote on this?
You can.
Nope. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Nope. Great. All right, so here comes another one. The Planning Commission. We have 3 applicants and 2 positions. Okay, this one makes it a little harder.
So Gary was just appointed to one. Are the other two serving on any others?
Well, Roxy serves on the Urban Renewal Advisory and what else?
Roxy is on
Yeah, and
another.
it's,
And the Budget Committee too.
and it's typically budget plus one,
Okay.
if I remember right.
So they both, there's actually two of them are incumbents, David
And Roxy.
and Roxy,
Roxy already-
both already on there. Gary is not, he's a new applicant, but
But we love
I'm sure Gary served many, many
Yeah,
years.
down in the body, it does say he's previously served, and it
Oh, we
lists the years.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on the
For
planning
7
commission.
years.
for
And
years
before he came to
He
the
probably
county.
beat me on the planning commission. I had 11 years.
He came
Uh,
to the Planning Commission before he came to the council.
Correct.
So it's a lot of years in there.
So this is going to be a tough one. I think I'm just going to go and we're just going to try to do this kind of what we did last time. And we'll just start at the end. For the first position, pick one of the three. We'll fill that one in and we'll come back through for the second one and we'll go from there. I think it's fair and it's open and we're not hiding anything and because that's probably what they made us do this. I know. All right.
Okay.
Corinne. Since Molly went first last time.
Okay, Dave Felly
Okay.
is an incumbent. He's also contractor, so I think he has a good perspective for this position.
So there's one.
Yeah.
I was going to say Roxy, but if she's already said David, then I'm just going to go ahead.
No, you said.
Well, but we have another one
We're going to
to-
vote for two positions.
Yeah, I know
so-
exactly. Well, my other person is David, so
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and back
So that is yours.
that up, David, also for this one.
I like all three. That's the important part.
I know.
I'm going to pass myself. Dave,
Pass?
what are you going to vote for?
Dave Felly is, he's
Mary Ann?
thoughtful, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. David is fine.
Okay, so there's our first, well, actually, Molly, who would you like? Perfect. So David is going to be the first
The
one.
next one is the one I
So now we're going to go on to our second one. We'll go with Molly first.
I was gonna say Gary Lindler.
I'm going to say Roxy.
I love them both.
I know it.
I noted that Roxy is on two other
Yeah, she is.
commissions, and so I'm going to vote Gary for this one.
I can live with Gary.
I'm going to pass once again.
I'm going to go with Roxy.
Okay.
And I'm going to go with Gary only for the same reason as
Yeah.
Dave.
You
Yeah.
guys are mean. So I get to
This is
decide.
really hard because I think they all are,
Yes.
are great and
Depends
can
on how
give
you
a really
vote, because
good
it could be a tie
perspective.
then.
Oh, wait. Did I miss a vote? Because you were
You're on.
Gary,
Roxy,
Roxy.
Gary. Roxy.
Ah, that's what I did wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. I love Gary, but Roxy has been on the planning commission and done a great job, so I'm going to go Roxy. And so
Does
that-
that result in a tie?
No, we're tied.
That's a tie.
You just made it a tie.
But I was trying to be fair, because I truly do. Do we got a coin, somebody? Do we have a coin, really? I'm serious, because
I don't have a coin.
I didn't bring my wallet with me.
Let me look.
Anybody have a coin?
Is that appropriate?
There's a coin.
Oh my gosh, you're in for this. Like,
All right.
excited about it.
Welcome to City Council.
Of course, I drop it.
You got to say whose heads. Okay.
All right, so heads will be Gary, and Roxy will be tails. Ready?
Yeah.
Heads. So, Mr. Gary,
Okay.
I'm not like any other mayor, trust me.
So you're going to keep that coin and put it on a plaque and give it to him?
It's up to Kyle, though. I stole it from him. All right, at this time, I am going to go with the motion. I move that David and Gary be appointed to the Planning Commission, each for a 4-year term, which will expire on December 31st, 2028.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You ever seen a mayor pull a coin out?
First.
No, but I knew a mayor who won on a coin flip, and he actually had the coin on a plaque. That's right.
All right. we are done with those. So, we're actually going to move on to business. Mr. Boquest, we are considering a final plat for the subdivision phase 1 through 4, file number 01SUB-24. Could we have the staff report, please?
Yeah, thank you. So this is a subdivision of like a small, somewhat cottage-sized houses. They're kind of roughly in the 1,200-ish square foot range, but they're on small lots. It was designed under our most recent code with roughly 3,000 square foot lots. And this development is on 16th Street next door to Wildflower Lodge. And the project received Planning Commission approval in October. It's under construction. Right now, I think it's waiting for water and sewer to be completed by Public Works. And then Royal Rock will be coming in to finish the street. And then in April, when the asphalt plant opens, all the asphalt will go in. And so the applicant has 3 houses under construction with, I think 1 or 2 of those is getting close to completion. And they would like to be able to start selling lots to folks that have expressed interest. And so they've submitted their final plat. And this is kind of more of a formality for you, but it's, you know, if you feel that the applicant has satisfied their obligation for completing the improvements and committing to that by having all of these contractors lined up and committed, then I would ask you to approve the final plat, which the next step would go to the county commissioners for their approval, and then it gets recorded, and the lots get created, and then the developer can start selling lots. Do you have any questions?
Any issues that you see?
I don't see any issues, and so I've got a commitment from all of the contractors for completion. Usually we ask for, you know, physical bonding of, you know, through an insurance company to guarantee those improvements. But I have, you know, all the confidence that the contractors involved and the commitments they have given, the project will happen and be completed by spring. So anyway, I think they've satisfied their obligations and it's ready to approve.
This is a unique kind of subdivision for the Grande.
This is very similar to the MBM Estates that you guys saw, I think, last year, the year before last, which is off of 18th Street. It's another small home development with similar sized parcels, similar sized homes. The orientation of lots and houses are a little bit different, but very similar in design. And it fits a housing market of the low income that we are currently missing.
Okay, now I saw on here that you narrowed the street. So the parking, they can't park on the street, nobody can park on the street. But so where exactly from this plat, where is the parking? Is it up closer to Wildflower?
Yeah, so if you look on the kind of the right side of that plat, you'll see where the street kind of like jogs to the south.
Yeah.
And
Over
that
there.
is perpendicular parking off the street.
Okay.
And so our code allows for, this is a private street per se. It's under the new standard. We require the street dedication so that all of our utilities are within right-of-way that we own. Also, because it's dedicated, it's technically city right-of-way, and so law enforcement has authority to go and ticket and tow, you know, for obstructions. If you can't get an ambulance, fire truck, garbage truck, and all those things in there, so we're able to resolve those issues. Where previously, as a true private road, and it was an easement, the city had no jurisdiction over that because it functioned like a driveway. So we changed our code, if you remember, to require dedication in order to resolve that issue. And so this is one of our first projects like that.
Okay.
The narrowing of the street is one of those exception processes that the Planning Commission considers when you can't physically fit a full street. And so you can narrow that down to a 24-foot wide easement, so it's 22 foot of paved street surface. But through the elimination of parking, you have to offset that by creating additional parking in the right-of-way in an alternative location, which that's what they have done here. And so that perpendicular is probably much like what you would see kind of like downtown or maybe around the high school where you're going to have
I think it's up here. I don't
you know,
know.
parking on the side of a portion of the street.
He said
But,
to the right.
so anyway, that's how they've addressed the development constraints with the size and shape of the greater parcel. And, anyway, so they got approval from the Planning Commission in October.
We're questioning, if you see True Avenue, is it to the left or the right of True Avenue? The parking?
It is,
Or north or south?
it's going to be to the right, close to 16th Street. On the south side of True Avenue, there's kind of a little jog, and there's also on the north side.
Yeah, there is, that's what
There's some parallel parking on the north side. There's enough for probably 3 cars on the north side.
Okay.
As you come in that entrance, and then there's, I forget how many on the south side, but there's a lot.
Okay.
You know, so I think
Are
there's like
these-
14 or something.
Are all these houses do they have 2-car garages, or?
They all have 1-car garage, and I believe they have 2 parking spaces on their property for themselves. And so these spaces are exclusively to address the on-street parking that was eliminated and had to be relocated and transferred somewhere else.
Okay.
City code only requires 1 parking space per dwelling.
So I'm assuming these little, like it says 3,054 square feet, that's not where the house is going though necessarily?
Yes, that's the parcel. That's the physical piece of property the house is constructed
Okay,
on.
so we don't know exactly where the house is located on that property?
Well, I do, because I'm
Yeah,
doing the building
okay.
permits for it or the zoning approvals, but
This doesn't show it.
no, this does not show it. But the houses essentially are 5 feet off of each side property line, and they're about 20 feet back, and they
Okay.
pretty much fit the whole parcel. You
Okay.
know, so they, you know, these are pretty much, you know, simple properties with very little yard space, and you know, and it
Okay.
fits a price range of kind of a low-income population that we're currently missing with our current housing stock.
But it's not designated as low income?
Oh, it's not designated as anything,
That's
so
what
it's
I
available to anybody, but
Right.
but price point-wise, it kind of hits that target.
Okay.
So.
All right, any more questions for Mike?
No, the only other question I had, there's only spots on this for 9. Where are the other ones? I thought I saw something that there was going to be 12. Yeah, 10, 11, and 12. Where is that going to go then? Do you know?
Yeah, so this was originally designed, I think, with 12 to 13 parcels. And so you see lots 1 through 9. And then next to 8 would be lot 10, next to 9 would be lot 11. And then at the end of the turnaround, you have, essentially it would be lots 12 and 13, but they are not doing that phase right now. So this will come back to you for another phase, because they are currently in discussions with neighboring property owners to potentially see if they can acquire those and expand this development to have more units or different size parcels, or to do something a little bit different. So they're holding off on that phase while they explore their options with the neighboring properties. But should those fall through, then you'll very likely see a plat come through that kind of splits this up into, you know, that next phase, and
Okay.
anywhere from 2 to,
Are all the utilities underground here? Are they?
yeah, everything's underground.
That would be nice.
Mike, what authority do we as a council have to say that homes need to be for low income? How does that?
Pretty much none, unless you're funding it. You really have no authority to choose. It is a conversation, and I think it's a potential work session topic someday, is to talk about incentives. And so right now, we don't have anything to incentivize, but at some point when we do have that, then that would be something, if the council wanted to set up a program where you offered an incentive to, you know, through a system development charge, so you can help pay some utilities, then you would then be able to influence the type of housing that is proposed. Yeah, but today, we don't have that opportunity.
Well, thank you, Mike.
Sure.
Appreciate it. At this time, we would like to invite skip over one. Public testimony. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak on this matter? Nope. All right, councilor discussion. Is there any more discussion before we make a motion?
Yeah. I like that there's new housing being developed, but when I looked at it and there's only 5 feet of property on each side of you before you run into the next person's property and 8 feet of property behind you, I just don't see To me, it just feels like we're trying to be too big city and not honoring the fact that we are a smaller community. And I have a hard time with that. And since I'm also new to the council, I would like to abstain from voting on this.
I think that there's few enough of these. A lot of people don't like doing yard work and just want a place to live. So this also gives an opportunity for that subset of people buying houses. So.
Do we have a motion?
I move that the final plat for True Construction Phases 1 through 4 be accepted for signature and recording.
Second.
Any more councilor discussion before we make a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstention.
You have one abstention.
One. All right. Considering resolution updating administration fees and enforcing penalties, Mr. Robert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Congratulations on those that are starting a new term, and welcome. The resolution before you was necessitated by the impound lot that the city's creating, and we did not have a mechanism to charge fees. And so we have identified the fee structure for that, and we also took this opportunity to update a couple of other fees, so you see those as well. For those that are new to this, the black type on the resolution is the existing resolution, and then the red strike through is what's being deleted, and the blue underline is the new language, and I'll be happy to answer whatever questions you may have.
My question, why are the storage fees so low? Because the standard fee right now per day for storage is $65. So if we are doing it, why are we not up to the standard price to ensure that we're not shorting? I mean, we just built a storage lot. I mean, we should be getting what everybody else is getting.
Okay, which one are you looking at?
I am on
Page
page
four.
4.
Page 4? Oh, okay, thank you.
I had no
I mean,
idea.
it's just my suggestion, because right now a normal storage is about $60 to $70. So the $60 to $5 fee would be in the middle. You're almost $20 less. So, you know, I'm just trying to make sure we recoup our money from it. But that's just my suggestion.
Yeah, this one I left to the police chief to determine, and I wasn't part of that conversation. Kyle, were you? I was. Would you run up to the podium and shed some light?
Mr. Mayor, councilors. So the conversation was based on two things. The first one was return on investment, where we projected we would want to make our money back in about 10 years. So we estimated a normal like 1 to 2 RVs for the year and then broke it down into a daily rate to see what it would take to get the money back. The second, we also took the local rates. We took an average. There was one that was significantly lower than the other, so we kind of edged up toward the other ones. And then the third point that came up in the conversation was not to, we don't want to be competitive as storage for anything. And so we looked at the private parties and said they will likely be a little bit higher than us in most instances, and that's where we kind of arrived around that number.
Sure.
So.
Perfect.
Perfect.
The only question I had, and this was because somebody brought this one to my attention, was they felt, I have to find it here, at the library, that the fee of 50 cents per copy was extremely high.
I'll let the library director respond to that.
You're right.
So we have 2 copy establishments in town, so we were way under what they charge. And the staff time, we would spend hours making copies for patrons, and then they would get angry if we messed something up, and we'd say, you know, we're not professional copy club. We have 2 businesses downtown, so it was mainly just to help staff time.
Okay, so
it just required a lot of staff time, and the copy clubs charge a little bit less than that. So
Okay, per copy, to make a copy. Because one person that called me on it said, Copy Club or Copy Plus, I don't remember which one, charged 2 cents a copy. And I thought, I don't think so.
Not when
but-
I talked to them.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that was, and they saw this somewhere, or they heard it or something, before I even saw it.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, I thought I'd ask.
And we also lease the equipment, so we pay per, for the price.
Yeah, right,
So
you
that's,
do.
we're taking that on too.
Okay, that was the only question I had.
Any more questions for staff? Public comments? None? Any more counselor discussion? None. Or Dave?
No.
Oh, I thought you were leaning at me like you were saying something. Motion.
I move that the proposed resolution repealing resolution number 4830, series 2023, establishing certain administrative fees and enforcement penalties be read by title only, put to a vote, and pass as presented or amended.
You need to do one or the other.
Pick one.
Presented.
Thank you.
Second.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. So we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion needed? At this time, could the city recorder read the proposed resolution by title only?
A resolution of the City Council of the City of LaGrande, Union County, Oregon, establishing certain administrative fees and enforcement penalties for the City of LaGrande, Union County, Oregon, repealing Resolution Number 4830, Series 2023, and all other resolutions or parts of resolutions in conflict herewith.
All right. We've made a motion. It's been seconded. The city recorder has read the motion, or the resolution. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Nope. Passes. This evening, we will not have any comment from Union County Commissioner update. Staff comments. Is there any staff that would like to make a comment at this time?
Gotta get up here before Stu.
That was quick.
Yeah, well, Stu's fast.
I feel like hiding over there.
Mr. Mayor, Councilors, I got a couple reminders and an update. First one, Safe Routes to School application will be awarded on the 15th, so keep your eyes peeled for that. We have high hopes of actually getting some money on that, so that'll be exciting to build some more infrastructure. Our application focused around Greenwood, so there would be some work over there. The second one is during the December meeting, you guys granted the authority to City Manager Strope to go execute some contracts for those ARPAs, and I am glad to report, much to our Finance Director's happiness, that we did get those completed and signed. Those were a sidewalk project, a grind and inlay project, and a material supply contract. So both the asphalt contracts went to High Desert, which does have out at RD Mac. They are a local presence. Sidewalk contract went to Chalice. So that work will be done this year. An update on the storage lot. So with Chief Bell not here, the gravel pad has been constructed. The fencing material is ordered. It's expected to be in here in the next week or so. So I'm guessing about 2 to 3 weeks, given proper weather, we will have a storage lot up and ready to be put into work. And the final one is ARPA projects. After long last, all our water parts came in. We're now ready to start 12th Street. So you guys may get some calls because we're closing down 2 blocks of 12th Street starting Monday for 2 weeks to start ripping out water services. So people will not be happy. There is a blood drive on Tuesday and Wednesday at the Mormon Church, so we're going to route all that traffic around. So be prepared for phone calls, but we're getting going. So happy to answer any questions.
Yes. I try that every day.
I do have a question, though.
Okay.
Since we didn't do the safe school, safe, right, what is it, safe,
Safe Routes to School.
yeah. Are we going to be better this year, making sure everything is followed right? Isn't that the one that was in the audit?
Checked on the audit.
Different one. So
It was a different one,
the
but-
one that we had a little bit of difficulty with was actual personnel. This is an infrastructure project, so this will be straight construction of pouring concrete and everything.
Okay, so it'll be different. Okay, we'll follow through all
A
the,
lot less gray area in these grants. It's pretty straightforward. They say build this, we'll pay for 90% of it, so.
okay, good. I just
Yep.
didn't want to see that again in the audit.
But it's the reporting process. that looked like we didn't check
There
the
is
box.
some. Ours is a little easier. Infrastructures are a little easier because basically we just have to show we built what we said we were gonna build, we paid what we said we were gonna pay, and then we give a report on, they like to have little check boxes to show that the developments that they paid for are actually helping. So showing, people are riding and biking to school and that the safety standards went up. So a little bit easier than on the other side where you're trying to report on a person's efforts and how do you show those buckets of where those improvements are other than, they showed up to the meetings, they talked to the people. So the reporting on this one's a little bit easier.
More concrete.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kyle. Any other staff would like to make a comment this evening?
Nothing?
Stu, no.
Stu?
Can I fill your head? Perfect, thank you. City manager comments.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Ricky Joe Hickey is counselor 24 that I've served with. On the 14th of January, I'll celebrate 17 years as city manager. And I have shared with the council that it is my intent to retire this coming fall. And I would like your consensus to go ahead and publish a request for proposals for a professional search firm to assist in that hiring process. I think it's very important that the city council solicit someone who knows what they're doing and casts a wide net so that we can get the best possible person to sit in this chair to continue the great work that I think we've collectively done over the past 17 years. So I would ask for your consent to do that.
I thoroughly
I think you should.
agree with that.
You're going to research him and pick the right one?
Well, I'm not.
Okay, but you're going to give us names of the right one, I
get to
should
hire
say.
him.
Yeah.
So, so what I would envision is we would get that published this week, and it kind of lays out the full timeline.
Okay.
And get some definitive guidance from you at the February council meeting as to whether you want to bring in a couple to interview, how you want to do that based on the responses. We penciled in the work session for February 10th to either do interviews with those search firms or just look at the packets, or potentially have identified one at the February meeting and say, this is who we want, but let's have them come in on the 10th to talk about the process and have a conversation with them to get things going. One of the things that I would strongly encourage the council to do would be to meet with the directors and ask them what they would like to see in the next city manager. I think it's a very important component. We're currently using a firm to do the fire chief search. So one of the things that you'll be asked about is, what do you want to do for search team panels, that sort of thing. I will tell you that when I was hired, we had a get to know the candidate social event. We had a community panel that I think there was someone, Chamber, Union County Tourism, School District, a lot of the key players in the community were part of that. The council was a separate interview panel, and I don't remember if we did individual with the directors, but I met with all of the directors as part of that process, and then ultimately the council made the final decision on the hire. So I would envision probably something pretty similar. Each consultant does it a little bit differently. And you're going to be asked by the consultant, what are you looking for in a city manager? What are the challenges? Those sorts of things. And I'm happy to help with that portion of the process, but I am not going to participate in the interviews, give any recommendation, guidance to the council on the selection of my replacement. I don't think that's appropriate for me to do. But I certainly think that I can play a role in helping identify and select the consultant to work on that. And there's really a handful that kind of do this for a living in the Pacific Northwest. So that's kind of what I would envision we would do from here for next steps.
I think this is a very important decision, and I think we need to have an experienced consultant guide us in that. So, I mean, it affects the direction of our city, so I think the consultants are worth it. I think the city in the past has chosen not to use a consultant, and things did not go well, if I recall.
You're right.
So, yeah. So, so there's a lot of value in if anyone is questioning, paying a consultant to help with hiring, there's a lot of value in that. So,
I would agree.
I agree.
Okay. That's all I had.
Perfect. Thank you, Robert. This time, is there any, I'm just going to go very open, any counselor that wish to make a comment this evening?
I would just offer, I don't know how others feel, but I think you indicated, Karina, Marilyn's proposal. I loved ideas like this, where we can crowdsource, things that help our community look cleaner, better, make it more livable. I'm sure we probably would need input from counsel, legal counsel on something like that. Just make sure things like that work. But, I for one, I think not only does it look affordable, but I suspect that there are groups, churches, businesses, maybe even just families that say, hey, I'll adopt a block, I'll take that on. And, anyway, would love insight from staff on maybe the pros or cons of doing that, but at least as the idea was presented, I'm intrigued.
Well, I think the time.
$100 from Public Works.
Well, I think.
I think that would be great.
I think what the timing is good because we can just toss this on as a retreat topic, and that'll give an opportunity for the staff to kind of be part of the conversation because it does. It's more than just spending some money to buy some buckets and pick up. There's staff time associated and commitment and trying to have a feel for what that might look like and where we would resource that. I think it's a great idea.
I think it's a topic worth discussing anyway, is where I was going with that.
You have a copy of this? Did she give you a copy?
Yes, I have a copy.
I did not get a copy.
The only other comment I would have, first of all, welcome, Ricky. Just, appreciate the camaraderie that we have here on the council. It's a good council. But the staff, city staff needs an acknowledgement by this body for the work that you do. You put yourselves in the line of fire sometimes for decisions that we've made as a council or things that we're interested in. Mike, I'm looking specifically in your direction tonight. I think publicly stated, and there aren't many citizens here, but need to know that we have outstanding staff to a person in this city. And I think I speak for all of us, say we're proud, to be surrounded and supported by the people that the city has. Robert, you've done a fine job, in hiring good directors and the directors in turn, with the teams that they have. And probably not nearly enough credit goes to the people that really run these things. We may be a public face during meeting times and things, but it's the staff that is doing all of the work behind the scenes. And anyway, there needs to be more public acknowledgement of that. So I'd just like to bring that up.
I agree. Anybody else?
I just want to say that the Bomb Smith ball drop was very successful this year again.
I was warm in my home.
Oh, well, I didn't get down to it either, but I did watch it, the video that Brent put on.
I want to say.
I was in bed, but my kids said it was great.
I think it was nice because it was the first time that it was warm. I mean, I remember the first year, 11 years ago, it was like 2 below or something. It was just absolutely freezing out there. So each year it keeps getting a little bit warmer. Next year it should be 70.
I would just want to say thank you. I thought this evening's meeting was going to be very, very long. Surprised me. But that's also because of city staff and the other counselors. We did a good job tonight. It was not an easy task, but we accomplished it. And With that, if there is no other,
I would like to encourage everyone up here to identify people to fill our commissions.
Right.
let's go.
So we have 4 of them that are underserved, and maybe you reach out to some people you think might be good for us.
But I was impressed on how many people did sign up to run for one of the commissions.
By my count, we're short 8 commissions.
I know, but still, we had more than we've had in the past sometimes.
There you go.
So, I think you've been.
And please wait for Stacy, because we have a lot to say.
Stick
Excellent.
around.
And with that, we are adjourned.
Okay.